Applying effective design overview. The target audience will be a heterogeneous group of 6th grade students between the ages of 11 and 12. These students live in the inner city and are considered low income. All students attend a Title I school that focuses on thinking maps and whole brain teaching. Every student receives free and reduced lunch based off of their family's financials. The demographic of these students are Hispanic. The subject of study that these 6th grader students will be focusing on is that of science. This group of students came in with the knowledge of the 5th grade science standards. The instructor knows this along with other personal information, as she is also the 5th grade science teacher and had them all last year as students. The attitude of these students are curious, as they are always trying to gain more knowledge about certain topics that interest them. They are working on staying motivated intrinsically and are currently working to level up on our Super Improver board by displaying respectable behavior and good citizenship. These 6th graders can have a tough time with failure, which led to the instructor continuously working on growth mindset with them in the classroom to help strengthen their self-confidence. This group of students has great appropriate technology skills, as they are one-to-one with laptops in the classroom. They are able to log onto a computer interface, use Microsoft Word and PowerPoint, in addition to being able to research topics on platforms such as Google. There are different learning styles in this group of students. Some students are kinesthetic learners, where others are more visual or auditory. Since there are different styles of learning in one classroom, the instructor incorporates a little of each style into each of her lessons. This is done to ensure that students are all receiving information in a way that fits them best. In addition to the different learning styles, there are 2 students in the class who are not at a 6th grade reading level due to processing delays. This disability has them at a 4th grade reading level, which calls for the use of differentiation when it comes to independent reading on a topic. Lastly, there is one English language learner in the classroom who is at an upper intermediate level. This means this child can form and write complete sentences, but sometimes struggles with grammar and punctuation. There are 2 major instructional needs that will be addressed in this online course. 2 students are at a reading level 2 levels below grade level, and another is labeled an upper intermediate English language learner. The 2 students who have processing delays were identified by their individualized education plan. These students have taken various tests and surveys with the school psychologist and currently work with a special education teacher for their individual needs. The ELL student has been identified by participating in the Arizona English Language Learner Assessment. This assessment is given to students once a year by trained staff members to identify their strengths and weaknesses in the English language. To address the needs of students who need support in the course, the Universal Design for Learning guidelines are utilized to ensure that students are getting the support that they need to have access to the same curriculum as their classmates. A text-to-speech feature will be available for students who need assistance with the readings and instructions that are given throughout the course. This will help the students to decode any language or vocabulary they might be unsure about. In addition to this, illustrations through multimedia outlets will help with making connections between content and representations. Lastly, students will receive support through generalizing and transferring their knowledge. This will be done by providing students with tools such as reminders, mnemonic strategies, graphic organizers, and scaffolding techniques. In a previous lesson, students have gained prior knowledge of identifying the definition of energy and acknowledging examples of objects that have energy in our world through asserting activity with classmates. Learners understand that there are different types of energy, however, currently do not know the categories they can fall into. One use of multimedia that students will be using to construct meaning of potential and kinetic energy is that of simulations and educational videos. This will ensure student engagement and real-world connections are being included, as learners will be able to visually see and participate in a recreation of this concept, which in turn also teaches complex manual skills. Graphics will also be included in the course's presentations to ensure motivation and relevancy to the topic. These graphics will include real-world examples that enhance the mind in learning, as well as visuals that make the content obvious and digestible. During the assessment phase of the course, students will be creating a presentation using PowerPoint or Google Slides to present a lesson they designed to show their understanding of potential and kinetic energy. Before handing in their final project for grading, students will be paired up to give feedback on each other's assignments. Trading off this multimedia will involve interactivity and collaboration between the two students, as well as promote their digital literacy skills. Based off of Bloom's taxonomy, students will be assessed on the creation of an experiment designed to showcase potential and kinetic energy. Throughout this 6th grade science course, students have learned about these two types of energy from reading articles, forms of multimedia, and participating in discussions. From their continuous knowledge, students will use what they have learned to design their own experiment to demonstrate their understanding of these two concepts in action. During the completion of the PowerPoint efficiency quiz, many improvement areas were pinpointed based off of certain skill sets. The area that lacked the most proficiency, that held the lowest point value, were skills pertaining to focusing the audience. Mastering these abilities allows the presenter to add callouts to direct an audience to a certain spot on the screen, to know how to design slides to avoid distractions, and adding slides to your presentation that are only available to be viewed by the learner if need be. Based off of these results, my goal is to become more familiar with this skill set of audience direction related to visual presentations. To make sure this goal was met, my time was spent researching how to declutter the view of my presentation and keep it as minimal as possible. In addition to this, callouts were added to highlight information that provided additional knowledge about the topic being reviewed.